Hello boys, welcome to the wonderful world of words, and here's a little extension to the main part of world affairs for this week. I've got 9 pictures here. They all refer to exactly the same word, and I'm wondering if you can guess what the word is. So just pause for a minute, see if you can spot the word before I tell you. Okay, the word is set. S-E-T. Sunset, jelly set, on your marks, get set, go, and so on. Now, you might think 9 is quite a lot of meanings for one word in English, but actually the word set is pretty amazing because it's got a lot more meanings than 9. So, just stop again, put this on pause, and just see if you can make a list of a few more. Okay, how many have you got? 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45? Well, I think I've got 45. Yes, really, 45 different meanings of the word set. And I'm going to try and whiz through them for you now. There might even be a few I've missed out, so do pay attention, see if you can spot any others. I've picked this word, by the way, because in my copy of the Oxford English Dictionary, the definitions of set run to more than 20 pages, and I can't find, or at least so far, I've not been able to find a word with more different meanings. So here we go, the wonderful world of set. The sun sets. That's an easy one. Jelly sets. In fact, a few other things set. I could have said concrete sets, for example. You could be dead set on doing something. If you're really determined to do it, we'd say you're dead set. A badger, on the other hand, has a home called a set. Here's a picture of a badger in its set, or coming out of it anyway. A poem could be set to music. So could other words, of course. And what do we call part of a tennis game? Well, part of a tennis match, I should say, is a set. Several games go into making a set in tennis. On your marks, get set, go. So it's a trigger word for runners to start their races. But we can also have tea sets, and we can have other porcelain sets and sets of china. We can have social sets, so sets are not just for people, not just for objects, but for people as well. We can have sets of teeth. We can be setting out exam papers, something we'll be doing for the years 11 and above fairly soon. We can have a house set in the countryside, or set in a beautiful setting, in fact. We can be setting the bonfire alight. We can be setting the table. We can be setting the price at an auction, determining whether it should be high or low. We can set the boundaries of behaviour at school and say, stay within these boundaries that we have set for you. If you're accused of something and you're innocent, you might say, hey, this is a set-up, it's not me, Gov. On the other hand, if we're very sure of something, we will claim that it is set in stone. And if we say something is not set in stone, we mean it's flexible and it could change. We can set a jewel. If you have a precious jewel, it needs to be set very carefully in a ring to get the best out of it. We can be setting sail, heading off on a new adventure. We can be setting a bone. If you break a bone and it needs to be set right and the plaster needs to be set around it, we'll be setting a bone to hold it in place, let it grow back healthily. We can set the right time, adjust the clock to tell it correctly. We can set up home. We can unpack, turn a house into a home, make it cosy. If you're unlucky, you might be set upon. This poor chap clearly has been set upon by someone and has got a black eye as a result. You can set forth a proclamation, hear ye, the town crier might go and read out, setting forth an important announcement. You might be set in your ways. You don't want to budge, you don't want to change, you're a bit stubborn. On the other hand, people, President Trump and President Biden to come, could be set against each other, have been set against each other, in fact, in the last few weeks. What a setback. Things aren't working out well, and you're not making the progress you want, and you take a bit of a knock. It's a setback. You can be set on a pedestal. So somebody famous can be elevated, metaphorically, to a pedestal. We look up to them, we admire them. They've been set on a pedestal above us. And in maths, you might use a set square. I've always thought this was an amusing name, because why don't we call them set triangles? I think the answer is that in order to draw a square, you need to get a right angle in each corner, and that's what the set square refers to. It's squaring off to get lines at 90 degrees to each other. You can set up a new business. Now, I can't remember which way round this goes, but in Oxford and in Cambridge, in the towns and at the universities, they have this habit of moving boats along with poles. In one of them they call it punting, and in the other one they call it setting. So you push the boat along with the pole. I think you're punting in Cambridge and setting in Oxford, but it might be the other way around. Right, show my homework. We set homework for you. We give you a schedule and a deadline. That's called setting. In a restaurant, however, it's rather different. You have a set menu. That means it's fixed. It's a standard list of items. We can set standards as well as boundaries we set a bit earlier. We can set standards. We can set things up to work correctly. In maths, lists of objects that have some property in common are called sets. So we might have a list of objects called A, and that's called a set. Another list called B, that's called a set. And then the objects that are in common between the two sets are called the intersection of the sets. So you can see the pentagon and the square are in both A and B, and that upside down symbol, U symbol, means the intersection of the two. You'll learn more about that in years to come in maths. The weather can set in, autumn weather can set in, or a rainstorm can set in, or clouds can set in, or the fog can be set in for hours. But on a film set, we're talking about a recreation. We're talking about artifice and excitement and drama, all happening on the film set. You can set a crossword, challenge others, see whether they can do it. You might be set by ability. We have a couple of math sets in the school. Other schools do more of it than we do. A band on stage performing. They will be playing a set or a list of songs, a set. A shampoo and set, however, is something completely different. Setting ladies' hair in place. A television set, different again. Rather old-fashioned, this one, really. Don't see many of those around. You could be set to become the champion of the world. I think the chap on the left is Magnus Carlsen, a few years ago, who's the world chess champion at the moment. And some people, in fact quite a lot of people, I think, say is the greatest ever. And finally, we could have the set scene in Dixon Cup. Setting galore. Now, have I missed any out? If I have, I really look forward to finding out from you which ones they are.